Things I wish I'd known before having a double lung transplant. Number one, I wish that somebody had told me that when you wake up from the transplant, you would not be able to breathe very well. No one told me this. Side note, I don't know if this is everybody's situation. In fact, it may not be, because I've heard many people say that they wake up and they all of a sudden can take in this full breath. I did not have this experience. I had a very hard time taking in a full breath and couldn't really finish a sentence. And I thought maybe something had gone wrong. I also kind of implied to the nurses that I couldn't totally take in a full breath. And they would say things like, interesting, and I'm like, interesting? Don't tell me it's interesting. Tell me that this is normal. So my transplant surgeon, Dr. Ardahali, came into my room in the ICU and said, have no fear. It's going to take a little bit of time. Your lungs are going to expand and open up. And in, a few months, you're not even going to know what's happening. You're going to feel so great. And sure enough, that happened. In fact, while I was still in the ICU and I was walking like a maniac, even though it hurt, I was pushing and pushing and pushing to try to expand my lungs. They did expand, and I was able to take in more and more of a deep breath. Number two, I was really nervous about medication, specifically prednisone, because if any of you have taken prednisone, you know that it can cause moon face, which is something you can't even really describe. I was worried about prednisone specifically. I was also worried about all the other medication because I know that things can have side effects. Assuming everything goes well, you're on a high dose right after the transplant, but not for long. They try to bring that dose down as soon as they possibly can. Then you ultimately end up, I think it's the standard protocol, to be on 5 milligrams indefinitely. Just as a side note, there's so much that's happening in the world of transplantation that's really exciting that things may change. So you start on pretty high doses of lots of different things. Over time, you end up on actually pretty low doses of things. I take a lot of supplements to counteract side effects from the medicine and have found that those supplements have been incredibly helpful. I can make another video about that as well, but I really don't experience side effects from the medication, aside from maybe slight tremors from tacrolimus, just a little bit of shakiness. It's probably my coffee and not tacrolimus at all that's creating the shakiness. Everything that I'm talking about, when you think about it, it's such a small price to pay to have your life back. Like I'm in the hospital thinking, oh no, prednisone, my face, what will I look like? And I'm like, what are you thinking? Like you're gonna be alive, so you definitely, there's perspective there in terms of being so grateful that you are alive and having to just deal with what you have to deal with. But it's a small price to pay for having your life back and for feeling well. And finally, hair loss, which a lot of people have asked me about. In the beginning, I lost quite a bit of hair right after the transplant. So that is most likely a combination of your body kind of going into shock because it's a pretty intense surgery combined with medication. The wonderful thing is that over the course of time, hair does come back. I think it's this is my hair, so I'm not wearing a hairpiece right now. It's pretty much the same disaster it was before. So during the time I had some hair loss, I wore hair clips, which can be amazing. I still wear hair clips just because I enjoy wearing hair clips, and I wear wigs because I enjoy wearing wigs. I like changing all the time without actually changing. I really hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them anywhere, and I will do my best to answer them. See you in the next video.